Grade 9s. In this tutorial, we are going to be having a look at first angle orthographic projection drawings. If you read in your demarcation for your exams, you'll see that at the bottom it says drawing skills, and there it says you'll be required to draw a simple object in first angle orthographic projection to 1:1 scale, front view, side view, and top view. Please have blank A4 paper, a pen or a pencil, and a ruler for this. So if you can't remember what first angle orthographic projection is, then this tutorial is for you. If you never covered that section in term 1, or if you weren't part of the school in term 1, here's a great opportunity to catch up. What I'm going to go through in this tutorial is basically just recap what first angle orthographic projection is, what the layout is, and how that works, and then we'll go through an example together on something similar to what is going to be expected of you in the exam. I'm not going to give you the answer to the exam, but basically this is an opportunity for you to develop the skills and practice the skills that will help you ace the exam. And so let's get stuck into looking at first angle orthographic projection. Right, so first angle orthographic projection has a standard way of laying out the information, and it's a standardized system because then it's easier to communicate effectively. If you look at any three-dimensional object, it'll generally be able to fit in some sort of box, right? So if you have a look at a box, that's a very messy cube, but you get the idea. Now, first angle orthographic projection says that we need to look at this cube in the right way so that when we communicate to other people, everybody knows when we're using that standard which part of it we're looking at. So if I say we're looking at the top view, you know that you're going to be looking at it from over here, right? So that's the top view. That's the easiest one. But now let's say my part has got a round thing on this side and a triangle thing on this side. I don't know how that would ever sort of, make sense, but maybe it does something weird like join up like that. I don't know. But this could both be classified as a side view, right? Because that's the side view and that's the side view. But then there's also the front view, and then there's the back view, and it's like, well, the back view could be that side or that side, and those are also sides. And then so if I say look at the front view, you might be seeing a triangle, or you might be seeing a circle. If we don't have a standard, it's very difficult to know what we're referring to in this. So first angle orthographic projection says that, and this is maybe a way of remembering it, most people are right-handed. So the front view is going to be from the right-hand side, right? So that's the front view, looking at it from the right. I'm left-handed, or I'm ambidextrous, and that's just always been very confusing for me. So that's why having something visual like this makes it easier to understand. So here we've got the top view, here we've got the front view. Front view, looking at it from the right-hand side, because we come at things from the right, and we're looking at it head on. So that's going to be the front view, which means that over here will be the side view. So there's the side view. Okay. So that's the three-dimensional object. But then in first angle orthographic projection, we have the sort of different views laid out in a projected view. So we want to know, what does this look like if it's flat and not sort of replicated in a three-dimensional drawing? So if we have a look, generally you've got 3 views, and there will be in a bunch of rectangle spaces like that. Okay, so that's bigger, this is going to be smaller in the corner, and these are the main views. But I just want to show you guys how this translates. So the top view is not at the top in first angle orthographic projection, which is the first confusing part about it, is that the top view sits over here, right? Because it's not, you don't generally look at things from the top, so they're not going to make that the most important part of what you're looking at. The most important part generally is the part that you look at from the front. So that's going to be the front. So start with the front, move downwards to look at it from the top, and then we've got the top view. So whatever this looks like in that drawing, we're going to draw over here. Whatever it looks like from this side, it's going to be a triangle. We're going to see a triangle over here, and the side view is the one that sits over here. Now, this can be mildly confusing because in some of the explanations for first angle orthographic projection, it can be a little bit confusing as to whether you're looking at it this side or you're looking at it from that side. But don't let that confuse you. Whatever you draw here is what you're going to see on this plane. Okay, so that's the side view. The side view is going to go there. So in this case, we would have a circle because we drew a circle over there. Right, so that is the layout that we're going to do. So you need to, in your exam, your demarcation says that you need to draw a front view, a side view, and a top view. And that means that we're going to give you a three-dimensional object. So you're going to need to look at this and then translate that into these different views and show the hidden detail and all of the detail of that object. Okay, so here is an example of a three-dimensional shape that we could ask you to draw. And if we look at our previous diagram, we said that this is the front view. So here, the front view is coming through from this side. That's the front view, right? And the most complicated one, the top view. And then this is going to be the side view, right? So there we can immediately see that we've got the front view looking at this point, and that's going to be like a sort of sideways T section. So we can see solid line side profile. It's got these two little cutaway slots, so there's nothing there, there's nothing over there. It sort of comes out to a point, and then on the side view we've got a hole cut all the way through the part, and we know that because we can see these little dotted lines. I know it's not super clear in this drawing, I drew this very quickly, but that's our hidden detail line. Those little dotted lines, it's showing us what we can't see from the view that we're looking at, but we know that it's still there. So here we can see that, you can see this line that we can see goes up until it goes past this line and it goes in, and that line over there I drew wrong, but I was too lazy to redraw the entire thing. So just pretend that that line's not there, because what we've got is the hidden detail. So it's almost like two little like peg parts coming out. It's like a rectangle part there. So that's what's missing, is a hidden detail line going down like that, and a hidden detail line going down like that, which closes off that part. So now we can see it more clearly. Cool. So very quickly we can see that the side view is going to be a square with another square, and then a few hidden detail lines for showing the detail that's happening behind it. The top is going to be probably the most complex, because we've got this section over here, then we've got some lines, and then we've got this part that's cut away. So what I would recommend that you do is, when you need to try and work this out, don't start doing it with the ruler and like meticulously draw it out. Just very quickly on some scrap paper, sketch this out and try and understand the form, so that you don't waste too much time drawing it out perfectly with the ruler and then like realizing later on that it's not, you didn't understand it properly in the first place. So I drew this just with a ruler and a pen, so that we just keep in, like, we're not using set squares. We're not going to have all the technical drawing equipment to do this. So you just have to try and make sure that your lines are rectangular, at least perpendicular and straight and everything, using what you've got here. So very quickly, I'm just going to freehand this out, sketch it in the space over here. We can also see that we've got dimensions. So we know that the overall sizes of this part are 70 by 70 by 70. I haven't specified what that is, so we could say millimeters, so that would be 7 centimeters. So 70 millimeters, 70 millimeters, 70 millimeters. We can draw that out one-to-one on our page, because 7 centimeters is not too big. So if we have a look here, we could say, well, more or less 7 centimeters around that size there. So we can draw some boxes at 7 centimeters. I'm going to very quickly just draw those out. Try and keep a border of about 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters from the edge of the page when you're drawing. So 2 centimeters. Don't draw any closer to the edge. Make sure that you start planning that out carefully when you do the drawing, so that you don't run out of space as you go. So what I'm going to do is just take this ruler and just drop a line straight down there. Remember, this is our planning page. So we are going to work quickly, and I'll throw one over here so that we've just got, it was a little bit squiff, but planning page, it's fine. And then you can also try and leave a bit of a gap between the views. So maybe we can go with another 2 centimeters. It'll still fit nicely. So we can just put a little mark over there, little mark over here to give us the space there. While I've got my ruler in this position, I can extend the bottom line here out. Doesn't matter, that's going over the drawing. Do the same on this side, take that line, extend it down. Now we've got the parallel lines, and it does help to start seeing that because this object is square, or at least the overall bounding areas of the box are square, that it's going to stay square going from whatever view this is going to that view to into that view. Right, so let's draw this other line out across. We can draw this one straight. Then I said I was just going to quickly draw it out, and then I end up using a ruler and doing it neatly. Oh well. Okay, so here our side view is going to extend, cut over some of the other drawing. We'll just draw it in lightly so that you can still see what's going on there, and then our top view. So let's start having a look at the front view. That's the starting point. So we're going to do front view in this, because remember that this is the front, this is the side, and this is the top view. Okay, so what do we see on the front? We've got this. Now we know that the overall box size is 7 centimeters by 7 centimeters, but we don't have dimensions for this. So you need to just look at the proportions, and you can see that based on this, it's been cut in half. We've divided it in half over there, and then that's another half of that division. So you've got about a quarter and then another quarter, and that's more or less square. So we can very quickly divide our overall cube, at least a square space there, in half. We can divide that in half again, and then we've more or less got the proportions of what's happening over here. And because we know that that's square at the top corner there, we can divide this quadrant in to 4 as well. And there you've almost immediately got the overall shape of your front view, because we constructed it out. And so you've got, oh, that was very squiff. You've got that shape over there. And then these hole cut out from this side running through is in line with the top of this section here. So all we're going to see is the hidden detail lines coming through and just extending all the way across to show that that's actually hollow going through there, and that there's another sort of cutaway going down that way, so that there's a line that you can't see here, but yeah, that's the overall shape that we've got for the front view. Then we look at the side view. The side view is simple. What we've got there is a square in a square. So again, this square is a quarter. If you look at the quadrant, if we just take one of these, it's proportionally a quarter of the whole square itself is half of the distance of the entire square, but it's sitting in the middle, so the edges are around quarters. So we can extend the middle lines and construct that. We can do another one, more or less half, and half, and then you can see that you've already got the whole size coming through there, and that should be square. It's not square there. Remember, this is our just quick draw it out and get an understanding of what's happening. And then there's also these hidden detail lines running across here that we are not seeing, but we know they're there. So we're going to just put those hidden details going across there, across there, across there, and across there. So there we've got our everything that we need to see from the side view coming through there. And then basically after this, we've got everything we need in our drawing. We know what it should look like. And if you put the line wrong, okay, so here, this line is not actually there. It's not a solid line showing where it's coming through, because it's actually solid. So we can say, oh, we got that wrong. We can just cross that out, so that when you draw it out properly, you don't have to redraw everything painstakingly and realize like, oh man, that was not supposed to be there. Use this plan as you're thinking. So the last one that we've got is the top view. So now, if you're confused as to which way around, because the top view could be looking this way, it could be looking that way, it could be pointing that way, it could be pointing that way. This is where drawing the front view helps you, because you are going to say this, if I'm looking at the front view this way, and this is pointing out on that side, then the top view is coming down looking at it from this side, which means that if we look at the top view, this line is going to be what we see from the top. And if we extend that line all the way across onto the other drawing, now suddenly we have this line over here translated to here, which is where this first angle orthographic projection starts to really kind of become quite handy. It's a very, very simple projection. So we know that that's really all that you're going to see from the top. Is you're going to see this large flat rectangle over here, and you're going to see the top section here. But whoa, okay, I've drawn this as a solid line too soon, because we've got that hole cutting through the middle, and if we just divide that into quarters now, we can see that the hole's going to come through here, and because it's not sticking out at the top, this is hidden detail, so we can put hidden detail dots on this side, hidden detail dots coming all the way along over there. But now suddenly it pops out, and this top square over there has been cut away, which means that now this is a solid line from the top, and everything else has been cut away in this section. So this line is not there, so don't draw that one dark. This is where you've got to really just plan things out carefully. So in reality, it's going to be that little piece sticking out. That's that part there that you can't see from the 3D view, but you can see it over here. You can see that this part, so that's kind of cut off like at that angle. So we're seeing just this part of it from the view on that perspective. So here we've got the outside profile will look like this sort of very out of proportion C shape. Okay, and then we've got the hidden detail coming through there. So that is the overall plan of what this looks like. And from there, you're going to then measure it out, make sure that you do it all carefully with the ruler. You can use the edge of the paper to try and help you get the line straight. So another handy trick to just keep in mind is that when you're drawing, don't draw directly onto like a hard surface with a single page, because then your pen will always give you very, very thin, sharp lines that it's difficult to get a line weight in for that. So if you have 2 pages or a few pages underneath, it allows your pen to, if you press lightly, to draw a nice thin line, and if you press harder, it's got a softer backing that it can press in and give you a nice thick line, like the shadow lines that I've put in over here. So you can see that those lines are much darker, because that's the last thing that we see. And so we want that to sort of stand out and see like that's the edge of the part. So I hope that you can see that this 3-dimensional drawing here is popping out a little bit. You can see that those 2 lines are quite a lot darker than those lines, because that's showing that there's sort of like disappearing behind that. Whereas this, you can see both sides. So it's like you can see this plane and you can see this plane. So the line is solid, but it's not like really popping out and jumping out at you. That's just some drawing technique kind of stuff coming through. So front view, side view, top view. From this point, you're going to take your ruler, you're going to get a new page, and you're going to start drawing this out, using this as the plan to guide you as you go. So I'll just grab a new page over here, still have a nice backing, and then we can start measuring out and saying, okay, let's go the 2 centimeters over there, just to mark it out. Draw very lightly. Remember that if you are using a pen, you can't rub it out, so draw lightly. If you do make a mistake and it's in light construction lines, that's okay. You're not going to get marked down for making mistakes in construction lines. So if you like accidentally slip at the right last part of your drawing and you put a thin line all the way through and it's very light and you can't see it sort of as like a sort of dark shadow line kind of thing coming through, that's okay. Nobody's going to mark you down for that. As soon as you commit to it and say, I will write this, like I will draw a line, it's like, that's a problem, because that means that that's officially there. So yeah, manage your line weights nicely. You're going to draw those out. I would recommend that you just look at the overall dimensions of the part and then draw the boxes that those are going to fit into, and label them as you go so you don't get confused. So as you start, you can say this is going to be the front view over here. I'm going to measure 7 centimeters because it's a 7 centimeter part. We just look at that part over there, 7 centimeters, add another 2 centimeters for the box between the two, and then add another 7 centimeters so that you can work quickly. Do the same going down the side. This is where it gets confusing, drawing with your left hand. Okay, 7 centimeters plus 2, 9, plus another 7 takes us to 16. And then we can quickly draw out our overall box. If you want to do it and keep it square, you can do another one towards the middle of the page. So you can say 7, 9, and 16, and then rotate this around and just join the lines, the little marks that you've made, so that you know that your lines are square, parallel, perpendicular, all of those things. And then you'll continue to construct your main views. And remember, we're going top, front, and side, so that's going to be front, side on this side, and the top over here. Let's draw that square out. You could just draw it, doesn't have to go all the way across the page. And one of the last things to remember is that if we have shown you dimensions on this, you can then mark those out on the drawing. So you can say this is 70 millimeters, and just do, if you want to do little arrows on the end, make them very small. Don't like make an arrow, because then it just takes over the whole page and it's too much. So you're going to just put out those. Make sure that if you are writing dimensions down, try and write as neatly as possible. The millimeters part is always in lowercase. Any other notes that you would write would be in uppercase. That's just technical drawing standard. And yeah, if it says give the overall dimensions of the part, it's what I've given you over here. So 70 millimeters, 70 millimeters, 70 millimeters, that gives the measurements on the length, the width, and the height. So if you were to take a box, cut it to 70 millimeters cubed and drop this part in, it would fit. And yeah, whether it's whatever the shape is, the overall dimensions are what you are going to put down, and you can put that down here. So if you've given it over here 70 millimeters, everything in line with that we can understand is 70 millimeters. We can probably drop another one over here to say, it's quite messy, there's another dimension directly over it, but we would put another 70 millimeters here and mark it out so that we'd say, right, the height of this part, because remember this is the side views, the height of those parts would be 70 millimeters, the width of the part is 70 millimeters, and the depth of the part is 70 millimeters. So we've got all the dimensions that we need. Right, I hope that helps. I would recommend that you take this drawing, have a look at it. You've got all the information you need here. So observe and practice by drawing out that in a layout like this. Ignore my hard line that I was using as an example of what not to do. And then you can take those details that we've got out here and draw those out neatly on the main views that we've got. And remember, first angle orthographic projection is always front view in the top left hand corner, side view in the top right hand corner, and the top view in the bottom left hand corner. And if we just look at the way that those views where we get those views from, remember that from the right hand side of the part is the front view, and then the side view that we'd see from here is viewed from the left, and there shouldn't be any confusion as to figuring out where the top of that part is. I hope that was helpful. I really just want to encourage you guys to practice this and make sure that you are comfortable drawing these kind of things out. Remember, we're not using set squares and everything, so you're not going to be marked down for not having every line perfectly straight or perfectly parallel or perpendicular, but work as neatly as you can and practice doing that. You shouldn't actually need a set square to draw a nice straight parallel drawing of a first angle orthographic projection of a 3D view. So yeah, go well and enjoy the practice of this, and go well with your exams when you get to that too.